April 16th, 1945. Okinawa. Dawn creeps over the shattered ridge the Marines call Suicide Point. The ground is black with craters, the air thick with smoke cordite in a metallic tang of blood. Palm trees stand stripped and broken. Private First Class James Red McAllister crouches behind a sandbag gun pit, sweat stinging his eyes, hands trembling on the grips of a battered .50 caliber Browning. His helmet is dented, his uniform torn. Around him, the survivors of his squad brace for another day in hell. The radio crackles. 12 enemy bombers inbound. Hold your position. McAllister glances at the sky, gray, endless, already alive with the distant drone of engines. He wipes his brow, heart hammering. The odds are impossible. The ridge is pounded by artillery, strafed by fighters, bombed day and night. The men call it certain death. The Japanese believe the position is finished. They're wrong. McAllister's jaw tightens. He checks the ammo belt, feels the cold steel, the weight of every bullet. He scans the horizon, searching for the first glint of enemy wings. The crew around him is silent, breath held. In the next 24 hours, one Marine will face the impossible and turn certain death into legend. Spring 1945. The Pacific is a furnace. Okinawa burns. The island is a maze of shattered ridges, muddy ravines, and blasted palm trees. The Battle of Okinawa is the bloodiest campaign of the Pacific War. For weeks, the Japanese defend every inch with fanatical resolve. Kamikaze pilots scream down from the clouds. Bombers prowl the night. Artillery never sleeps. At the edge of the American line, a battered ridge rises above the chaos. The Marines call it Suicide Point. The name fits. The ground is cratered, blackened by fire. Shells fall day and night, shaking the earth, rattling teeth. The air is thick with smoke, cordite, and the coppery tang of blood. Palm trunks stand like broken spears. The mud is red, churned by boots and shrapnel. The ridge is the key. It overlooks the beachhead, the supply dumps, the field hospitals. If it falls, the Japanese will pour through, threatening the entire invasion. Every man on the line knows it. Every officer dread the order. Hold at all costs. The Marines dig in, sandbags stacked high, foxholes deep, machine guns bristling from every angle. The Japanese know the ridge is weak. Their scouts report broken lines, scattered defenders, a position ready to fall. They plan a final assault, 12 bombers, escorted by fighters, to smash the last resistance. The Americans know the truth. If Suicide Point falls, the beachhead collapses. The fate of the Okinawa campaign, the lives of thousands, hang in the balance. The Marines are exhausted, outnumbered, low on food, low on water, low on hope. Anti-aircraft crews are stretched thin. Their guns are battered, barrels warped from days of nonstop firing. Ammunition runs short. Medics work by lantern light, patching wounds, whispering prayers. Every man knows the cost of failure. Private First Class James Red McAllister is a farm boy from Iowa. He's never seen a mountain before Okinawa. Now he's assigned to a lonely gun pit, dug into the mud, a single .50 caliber Browning, his only companion. The gun is old, the paint chipped, the grips worn smooth by desperate hands. McAllister checks the feed, wipes sweat from his brow, and waits. He remembers home. The smell of cut hay, the sound of rain on the barn roof, the taste of cold water from the well. Here, everything is different. The air is heavy, thick with fear. The ground shakes with every shell. The sky is never empty for long. The anti-aircraft crews are the last line of defense. Their job is simple: keep the bombers away from the ridge. The guns are scattered, dug into pits, camouflaged with branches and mud. Each crew is a team: gunner, loader, spotter, runner. They work in silence, eyes on the sky, ears tuned for the first drone of engines. McAllister's crew is down to 3 men. The loader, Corporal Evans, is 19 from Detroit. The spotter, Private Lee, is 20 from Georgia. The runner, Private Kim, is gone, killed by shrapnel 2 days ago. McAllister feels the loss. He feels the weight of every empty bunk, every name crossed off the roster. The Japanese attack in waves. First, the artillery. Shells burst along the ridge, sending dirt and bodies flying. Then the fighters, strafing the trenches, raking the gun pits with machine gun fire. Then the bombers, engines droning, bombs whistling down. The ground shakes. The air fills with dust and screams. The .50 caliber Browning is McAllister's lifeline. He knows every part by touch. He can clear a jam in seconds, reload in the dark, fire until the barrel glows red. The gun is battered, but it works. It has to. The Marines are outnumbered. The Japanese come by the hundreds, then by the thousands. They attack at night, in the rain, through the smoke. The ridge holds, but just barely. Every day, the line gets thinner. Every night, the fear grows. The radio is a lifeline. It crackles with orders, warnings, pleas for help. 12 enemy bombers inbound. Hold your position. The words echo in McAllister's mind. He looks at his crew. Evans loads another belt. Lee scans the sky with binoculars. They are tired, hungry, scared, but they are ready. The Japanese believe the ridge is finished. They call it certain death. They think the Americans will break. They're wrong. The stage is set. The ridge is quiet for now, but the sky is never empty for long. The next 24 hours will decide everything. The fate of the campaign. The lives of thousands. The legend of one Marine, one gun, and the day's certain death became something else entirely. April 16, 1945. Okinawa. The bunker is dark, lit by a single lantern swinging from a nail. The walls are sandbags, stacked 4 feet thick. The floor is mud. Maps are spread across a wooden crate. Corners pinned by empty ammo boxes. The air smells of sweat, gun oil, and fear. The 1st Marine Division crowds inside. Helmets off, faces streaked with grime. Sergeant Davis stands at the front, voice low and steady. 12 enemy bombers inbound. Fighters in escort. They're coming for a suicide point. He taps the map, finger tracing the ridge. If we lose this ground, the whole beachhead is exposed. We hold at all costs. Private First Class James Red McAllister sits near the back, hands trembling as he checks the feed on his .50 caliber Browning. The gun is stripped, clean, barrel replaced. Ammo belts are stacked in neat rows, cooling water topped off. Every detail matters. Every second counts. Davis reviews the radio codes. If you're overrun, fall back to the second line. If the radio goes dead, use flares. If you run out of ammo, use grenades. If you run out of grenades, use your bayonet. The men nod, jaws clenched. No one jokes now. The tension is thick. Outside, the sky rumbles. Distant thunder, or the first growl of engines. McAllister wipes sweat from his brow, glances at Evans, his loader. Evans grins, but his eyes are tired. We'll make it, Red. We always do. McAllister forces a smile, loads the first belt, feels the weight of every bullet. The squad leader moves down the line, checking each position. You ready, McAllister? Yes, Sergeant. The answer is automatic. The truth is more complicated. McAllister's heart pounds. He remembers the last attack, bombs falling, earth shaking, men screaming. He remembers the smell of burning flesh, the taste of blood in his mouth. The radio crackles. All units, stand by. Bombers at 10 miles. The men tense. Some cross themselves. Others mutter prayers. McAllister checks the gun again, fingers numb. The barrel is cool, the action smooth. He looks at the sky, searching for the first glint of enemy wings. Davis gives a final order. No retreat, no surrender. Hold until relieved. The words hang in the air, heavy as stone. The men nod, eyes hard. They know what's at stake. If the ridge falls, the line breaks. If the line breaks, the beachhead is lost. The first engine drone reaches them. Faint but growing. McAllister's hands shake as he grips the gun. Evans loads another belt, sweat running down his face. The sky is gray, clouds low and heavy. The ground shakes with distant explosions. The Marines settle into their positions. Sandbags stacked high, foxholes deep, The anti-aircraft guns are spaced along the ridge, barrels pointed skyward. Each crew is a team, gunner, loader, spotter. They work in silence, eyes on the sky, ears tuned for the first roar of engines. McAllister feels the weight of the moment. He thinks of home, fields of corn, the sound of rain on the roof, his mother's voice calling him in for supper. Here, there is only the gun, the mud, the fear. He wipes his brow, breathes deep, steadies his nerves. The radio crackles again. Bombers at 5 miles. Fighters in escort. Get ready. The men tense. Fingers on triggers. The sky is alive with sound now. Engines flack, the distant wail of sirens. McAllister's heart hammers in his chest. He checks the ammo belt one last time. Davis moves down the line, claps McAllister on the shoulder. You hold this gun, Red, no matter what. McAllister nods. Yes, Sergeant. The words are a promise. The first bombs fall. The ground shakes. Dirt and smoke fill the air. The sky is black with planes. McAllister sights down the barrel, tracks the lead bomber, waits for the order to fire. The moment hangs, suspended between fear and resolve. The ridge is quiet for a heartbeat. Then the world explodes. The battle for Suicide Point has begun. The first bombers appear at 6:12. 12 black silhouettes, engines droning, crawl over the horizon. The sky is bruised purple, streaked with smoke. McAllister squints through the gun sight, breath fogging the glass. His heart pounds. The .50 caliber Browning feels heavy, alive in his hands. Flak bursts bloom above the ridge, black and orange, thunder in the sky. Shell fragments rain down, pinging off helmets, tearing holes in tarps. The radio crackles. Bandits at 2 o'clock. Incoming. Sergeant Davis's voice is sharp, urgent. Hold your fire. Wait for the order. The bombers close in, engines roaring. The ground shakes with the first explosions. Dirt and shrapnel fill the air. McAllister's loader, Evans curses, hands trembling as he feeds the ammo belt. The gun jams. McAllister clears it, sweat stinging his eyes. He slams the bolt forward, sights on the lead bomber. The order comes. Fire. McAllister squeezes the trigger. The Browning barks. Tracers stitching the sky. He tracks the bomber, leads a target, feels the recoil in his bones. The first burst misses. The second finds its mark. Sparks on the wing, smoke trailing behind. The bomber wobbles, drops altitude, but keeps coming. The first wave dives. Bombs whistle down, tearing craters in the ridge. Marines scramble for cover, shouting orders, dragging wounded men to safety. The air is thick with dust, the taste of cordite on every tongue. McAllister keeps firing, barrel glowing red. The gun jams again. Evans clears it, blood on his knuckles. The bombers circle, regroup, attack again. Each pass is closer, louder, deadlier. The ridge is pounded, the sandbags shredded, the foxholes filling with debris. McAllister's loader is hit, shrapnel in the leg. He grits his teeth, keeps feeding the belt. McAllister's hands are slick with sweat and blood. The radio is chaos. We're hit. Need a medic. Ammo running low. Hold the line. McAllister's world narrows to the gun, the target, the next burst. He fires in short, controlled bursts, conserving ammo, watching the tracers arc into the sky. A bomber breaks formation, trailing smoke. McAllister tracks it, fires again. The engine explodes. The plane spirals down, crashing the jungle beyond the ridge. The crew cheers, but the relief is short-lived. Another wave is already inbound. The sun climbs higher. The heat is suffocating. Sweat soaks McAllister's uniform, stings his eyes. The gun overheats, jams, is cleared. The loader is pale, blood soaking his pants, but he refuses to leave. I'm not going anywhere, Red, he mutters. McAllister nods, grateful, and keeps firing. The bombers come in low, skimming the treetops. Their gunners rake the ridge with machine gun fire. Bullets snap overhead. Kick up dirt at McAllister's feet. He ducks, reloads, fires again. The Browning bucks in his hands, the barrel smoking. The ridge is chaos. Marines shout, curse, pray. Medics crawl from hole to hole, dragging the wounded to cover. The radio crackles with new orders. Reinforcements on the way. Hold your position. McAllister glances at the ammo belt. Half gone. He wipes his brow, breathes deep, sights on the next bomber. The attacks come in waves. Each pass is worse than the last. The bombers drop their loads, peel away, circle back. The ground shakes with every impact. The air is thick with smoke, the taste of metal on every breath. McAllister's arms ache, his fingers numb. He keeps firing. The loader slumps, exhausted. McAllister shouts for a replacement, privately crawls over, face streaked with dirt and fear. He grabs a belt, feeds it into the gun. We're not done yet, McAllister growls. The next wave is already overhead. The bombers are relentless. They come in pairs, then threes, then all at once. McAllister tracks each one, firing in bursts, watching for the telltale plume of smoke, the sudden drop. He brings down another, number 2. The crew cheers, but the celebration is brief. The ridge is still under siege. The sun is high now. The heat is unbearable. The gun is hot to the touch, the barrel glowing. McAllister pours water over it, steam hissing. He reloads, fires again. The bombers keep coming. The ridge holds, but just barely. The men start to believe the ridge won't hold. The ground shakes with every explosion. The air is thick with fear. McAllister's hands bleed, his arms tremble, but he refuses to quit. The gun keeps barking. The bombers keep falling. The legend grows with every shot. The battle is far from over. The next wave is already on the horizon. The tension is unbearable. The men brace for what comes next. The ridge is battered, but not broken. The impossible is still ahead. The sun climbs higher. The sky is a furnace. The ridge is a wasteland, craters, shattered palms, the stench of burning oil. McAllister wipes sweat from his brow, hands raw and shaking. The .50 caliber Browning is hot to the touch, barrel smoking, metal warped from hours of firing. He reloads, slams the bolt forward, and sights on the next wave. The radio crackles. Third wave inbound. 6 bombers, 2 fighters. Sergeant Davis's voice is hoarse, barely audible over the roar of engines. Hold your fire until they're close. McAllister nods, eyes locked on the horizon. The bombers appear, black specks against the glare, engines droning in perfect unison. Evans, his loader, is gone, evacuated with shattered leg. Private Lee takes his place, hands trembling as he feeds a belt. We're almost out, Lee whispers. McAllister grits his teeth. Make every round count. The bombers dive. Flak bursts bloom above the ridge, black and orange. The ground shakes. McAllister tracks the lead plane, squeezes the trigger. The Browning barks, tracers stitching the sky. The first bomber shudders, smoke pouring from the engine. It veers left, spirals down, explodes in the jungle. 1 down. 11 to go. The fighters strafe the ridge, bullets snapping overhead. Marines duck. Sandbags erupt in clouds of dust. McAllister ducks, reloads, fires again. The gun jams. He clears it, sweat stinging his eyes. The next bomber drops its payload. Bombs whistle. Earth erupts. Shrapnel rattles the gun shield. Lee shouts, "You're bleeding!" McAllister ignores him, wipes blood from his cheek, keeps firing. The second bomber comes in low, skimming the treetops. McAllister leads a target, fires a long burst. The plane wobbles, wings shuddering. Flames burst from the fuselage. The bomber crashes short a ridge, debris tumbling across the field. 2 down. The crew cheers, but the celebration is brief. The next wave is already forming. The radio is chaos. Ammo low. Need resupply. Medic, we got wounded. Hold the line. McAllister's world narrows to the gun, the target, the next burst. He fires in short, control bursts, conserving every round. The barrel glows red. The air smells of cordite, sweat, and fear. The bombers circle, regroup, attack again. Each pass is closer, louder, deadlier. The ridge is pounded, the sandbags shredded, the foxholes filling with debris. Lee reloads, hands shaking. We're down to the last belt. McAllister nods, eyes never leaving the sky. The fourth bomber dives, bombs whistling. McAllister tracks it, fires. The tracers find the engine. The plane erupts in flame, spirals down, explodes in the jungle. 3 down. The odds are still impossible. The fighters return, strafing the gun pit. Bullets tear through the sandbags, kick up dirt at McAllister's feet. He ducks, reloads, fires again. The Browning bucks in his hands, the barrel smoking. The fifth bomber comes in high, drops its bombs, peels away. McAllister fires a single shot, hits the wing. The plane wobbles, then crashes into the sea. 4 down. The sun is merciless. The heat is suffocating. McAllister's arms ache, his fingers numb. He pours water over the barrel, steam hissing. Lee reloads, face pale, lips cracked. "We're almost out," he whispers. McAllister nods, wipes sweat from his brow, and sights on the next target. The sixth bomber comes in low, engine screaming. McAllister tracks it, fires a long burst. The plane shudders, smoke trailing from the tail. It crashes short of the ridge, debris tumbling across the field. 5 down. The crew cheers, but the celebration is brief. The next wave is already on the horizon. The ridge is chaos. Marines shout, curse, pray. Medics crawl from hole to hole, dragging the wounded to cover. The radio crackles with new orders. Reinforcements on the way. Hold your position. McAllister glances at the ammo belt, almost empty. He wipes his brow, breathes deep, sights on the next bomber. The attacks come in waves. Each pass is worse than the last. The bombers drop their loads, peel away, circle back. The ground shakes with every impact. The air is thick with smoke, the taste of metal on every breath. McAllister's arms tremble, but he refuses to quit. The gun keeps barking. The bombers keep falling. The legend grows with every shot. The battle is far from over. The next wave is already on the horizon. The tension is unbearable. The men brace for what comes next. The ridge is battered but not broken. The impossible is still ahead. The sun crawls across the sky. Hours pass. The ridge is a graveyard. Craters, twisted metal. The smell of burning fuel. McAllister's hands are blistered, his uniform soaked with sweat and blood. The .50 caliber Browning is nearly out of ammunition. Only a single belt remains. The seventh bomber appears, engine screaming, wings glinting in the harsh light. McAllister steadies his aim, squeezes the trigger. The gun chatters, tracers slicing the air. The bomber shudders, smoke pouring from the engine. It veers, loses altitude, and crashes in a fireball beyond the ridge. 7 down. The radio crackles. More incoming. Hold your fire. McAllister's jaw clenches. He wipes his brow, eyes stinging from smoke and exhaustion. Lee reloads the last belt, hands shaking. "This is it, Red." McAllister nods, eyes never leaving the sky. The 8th and 9th bombers come in together, flying low, trying to slip past the guns. McAllister fires in short bursts, conserving every round. The first bomber takes a hit to the wing, spirals down, explodes in the jungle. The second drops its bombs, but McAllister's last burst finds the engine. The plane wobbles, then crashes into the sea. 9 down. The ridge shakes with every explosion. Marines shout, scramble for cover, drag the wounded to safety. The air is thick with dust, the taste of cordite on every breath. McAllister's arms ache, his fingers numb. He pours the last of his water over the barrel, steam hissing. The 10th bomber comes in high, bombs whistling. McAllister tracks it, fires a single shot. The bullet finds the cockpit. The plane veers and drops, crashing in a plume of smoke. 10 down. The crew cheers, but the celebration is brief. The next wave is already forming. The 11th bomber is the hardest. The gun jams. McAllister curses, clears the action, reloads. The bomber drops its payload. Explosions rocking the ridge. McAllister fires, the last round in the belt. The engine catches fire. The plane spirals down, crashing short of the beachhead. 11 down. The 12th and final bomber appears on the horizon, escorted by 2 fighters. McAllister's gun is empty. He grabs a spare belt, loads it with trembling hands. The fighters strafe the ridge, bullets tearing through sandbags. McAllister ducks, reloads, and fires. The bomber drops its bombs, but McAllister's last burst hits the wing. The plane veers, explodes in midair. 12 down. The sky is suddenly empty. The radio is silent, then erupts in cheers. The ridge is saved. McAllister slumps behind the gun, exhausted, hands burned, but alive. The impossible has been done. The sun sets over Suicide Point. The ground is littered with shell casings, the air thick with smoke and the smell of victory. McAllister's crew gathers around, silent, awed. They count the wrecks, 12 bombers, shot down in a single day. The legend is born. The Japanese never expected the ridge to hold. They called it certain death. They were wrong. 1 Marine, 1 gun, 24 hours. The impossible is now history. The world will remember what happened here, when courage, grit, and a refusal to surrender turned the tide of battle. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows over Suicide Point. The ground is scarred craters, splintered logs, the twisted wrecks of downed planes. The air is thick with smoke and the sharp tang of cordite. Private First Class James Red McAllister wipes blood from his brow, hands trembling on the grips of his .50 caliber Browning. The gun is nearly out of ammo. The barrel glows red, heat shimmering in the morning light. The radio crackles. Last wave inbound. 2 fighters, 1 bomber. Sergeant Davis's voice is raw, barely more than a whisper. Hold your fire. Wait for the bomber. McAllister nods, jaw clenched. He can feel the vibration of the engines through the ground. The fighters appear first, slicing through the sky, guns blazing. Bullets tear through sandbags, kick up dirt at McAllister's feet. He ducks, reloads, heart pounding. The bomber follows, engines droning, wings heavy with bombs. It comes in low, skimming the treetops. The fighters strafe the ridge, bullets snapping past McAllister's helmet. He waits, breath held, finger on the trigger. The bomber lines up on the gun pit, bomb bayed doors yawning open. McAllister fires. The Browning barks, tracers stitching the air. The first burst misses. The second finds the cockpit. Glass shatters. The bomber wobbles, drops its payload. Bombs whistle down, exploding shore of the ridge. The plane veers, engine sputtering, smoke pouring from the nose. The fighters circle, searching for a target. McAllister reloads, hands shaking, sweat stinging his eyes. The gun jams. He clears it, slams the bolt forward, fires again. The last burst hits the bomber's wing. The engine explodes. The plane rolls, nose down, and erupts in a fireball. Debris rains over the ridge. The fighters break off, engines screaming, vanishing into the clouds. The sky is suddenly empty. The radio is silent. For a moment, no one moves. Then the ridge erupts in cheers. Marines shout, slapbacks, raise fists to the sky. The impossible has been done. McAllister slumps behind the gun, exhausted, hands burned, uniform soaked with sweat and blood. Evans crawls over, grinning through the pain. You did it, Red. You saved us. McAllister nods, too tired to speak. He looks at the gun, barrel warped, ammo gone but still standing. Sergeant Davis appears, claps McAllister on the shoulder. You held the line. You made history. The words hang in the air, heavy with meaning. The men gather around, faces streaked with dirt and relief. They know what they've survived. They know what it cost. The ridge is battered but unbroken. The ground is littered with shell casings. The air thick with the smell of victory and loss. The sun sets, painting the sky gold and red. McAllister sits in the gun pit, eyes on the horizon, heart still racing. The radio crackles one last time. All clear. Ridge is secure. The men cheer again, voices echoing across the battlefield. The legend of Suicide Point is born. The story will spread, 1 Marine, 1 gun, 12 bombers in 24 hours. The night falls, cool and quiet. The stars come out, bright and cold. McAllister leans back, closes his eyes, and lets the exhaustion wash over him. He knows the war isn't over. He knows the danger will return. But for now, the ridge is safe. The impossible has become real. The world will remember what happened here, when courage, grit, and a refusal to surrender turned certain death into legend. Dawn breaks over the battered ridge. Smoke drifts in thin ribbons, curling above shattered trees and blackened earth. Captain James McAllister limps through the mud, boots caked, uniform torn. His hands shake as he counts the survivors, 23 men from the original 42. Each face tells a story, each silence a loss. The journey back to the command post is slow. Every step aches. The jungle presses in, thick with the stench of cordite and blood. At 0600 hours, McAllister and his men emerge from the tree line. Marines stop in their tracks. Eyes widen. Whispers ripple through the camp. They made it. Against all odds they held. Inside the tent, the division commander waits. Brigadier General Samuel H. Ransom stands ramrod straight, silver stars gleaming on his collar. He studies McAllister, mud-streaked, eyes hollow, posture unbroken. Without a word, Ransom steps forward. He pins the Navy cross to McAllister's chest. The metal is cold, heavy. The moment, electric. Applause erupts. It's raw, unfiltered, echoing off canvas walls. The gun crew, Sergeant Paul Harker, Corporal Eddie Ruiz, Private First Class Tomoko Sato, raise battered canteens in salute. They toast the fallen. They toast the living. The taste of whiskey burns, but the memory burns deeper. Outside, the cost is counted. Medics move from stretcher to stretcher, checking pulses, closing eyes. 31 names are written in black ink on a clipboard. 31 families will receive telegrams. The price of holding certain death is measured in blood and bone. Word spreads fast. By noon, the story reaches the division headquarters. By dusk, it's on the lips of every Marine in the sector. Did you hear? McAllister's men held the ridge, outnumbered 3-1. They never broke. The tale grows with every retelling. Details sharpen, numbers become legend. The impossible becomes fact. The fleet hears next. Aboard the USS Enterprise, sailors gather in the mess hall, listening to the radio crackle. The announcer's voice is crisp. A Marine company, led by Captain James McAllister, has repelled a major enemy assault at a position now known as certain death. Forks pause midair. Heads bow. The Pacific is wide. But tonight, every man feels closer to the ridge. Letters fly home. Mothers in Ohio, wives in California, brothers in New York read the headlines. Marines defy death, hold line. The names of the lost are printed in small type. The name McAllister is bold above the fold. For a moment, the world remembers the cost of every inch. In the mess tent, the survivors gather. Harker pours a shot for each empty seat. Ruiz lights a cigarette, hands trembling. Sato stares at the dirt, lips moving in silent prayer. They speak in fragments. Remember when he saved my life, we thought was over. The laughter is brittle, the grief raw, but the bond is unbreakable. Night falls. The ridge is quiet now, but the legend grows. Marines carve certain death into their helmets, a badge of honor. The phrase spreads, first to the division, then the fleet, then the world. It becomes a rallying cry, a symbol of what it means to stand when standing seems impossible. McAllister sits alone, metal glinting in the lantern light. He writes a letter to the mother of Private First Class Billy Hayes. He writes another to the wife of Corporal John Kim. Each word is a promise. Your son did not die in vain. He held the line. He made history. The war rages on. New battles loom. But for one night, on one battered ridge, courage rewrites the rules. The impossible stand at certain death becomes more than a story. It becomes the soul of the Corps, etched in memory, paid in sacrifice, carried forward by every Marine who dares to hold a line. Dawn breaks over the ridge called certain death. The jungle mist clings to the earth, silent now, but the echoes of gunfire linger in the soil. Decades have passed, yet the name McAllister still commands respect in Marine Corps classrooms. His stand on that rain-soaked night becomes more than a story. It becomes doctrine. Military historians dissect every minute of the defense. They measure the distance between foxholes, 12 yards. They count the spent shell casings, over 2,000, scattered like brass confetti. They replay the radio transmissions, the clipped urgency in McAllister's voice. Every decision, every order is studied, debated, immortalized in training manuals. New recruits learn to hold the line, even when the odds scream surrender. The ridge itself transforms. Once a nameless rise on a forgotten island, it becomes a pilgrimage site. Marines in crisp dress blues stand at attention, boots sinking into the mud where McAllister's men once fought. They read the plaque. Here, on the night of August 17, 1943, Captain James McAllister and his company held against overwhelming force. Their courage changed the course of the campaign. The words are simple, the meaning enormous. Tactics born in desperation become standard. The McAllister defense, interlocking fields of fire, rapid redeployment, relentless counterattacks, filters into anti-aircraft doctrine, then into infantry manuals. Instructors invoke his name. Remember certain death, they say. Remember what one determined Marine can do. The lesson is clear. When the world expects defeat, resilience rewrites the outcome. But the true legacy is not in textbooks or tactics. It lives in the faces of the men who survived, in the letters home, stained with sweat and hope, in the silence that follows every roll call. When one name is missing, McAllister stands as a reminder, etched in stone, whispered in barracks, that courage is contagious, that sacrifice echoes. As the sun sets, the ridge glows gold. The jungle reclaims the trenches, but memory endures. The impossible once faced becomes a beginning, and the world remembers a night when a handful of Marines, led by one unbreakable man, prove that legends are not born, they are made in fire and in faith.